It's been 66 years since I first walked into a school, and some of the folks I went to school with, many of whom spent the 12 years we had together actively rejecting the free gift of learning they were offered, are suddenly very interested in education, convinced their grandchildren are being brainwashed by a band of malevolent individuals who want nothing more than to destroy the American way of life, as if that were a single definable thing. I personally think it's because they finally reached a point where they desperately want to make their lives count for something other than just being born, reproducing, and dying like so many mayflies. They want an identity, a purpose. It's too bad they rejected education early on, because it would have given them the tools they needed to find that for themselves. Now they're easy prey for demagogues and the falsehoods they spread. Unequipped to build up, they're prepared to tear down, to exchange education for indoctrination, something that will lead directly to what they fear most, a total loss of freedom and a future that sacrifices the well-being of the many for the unbridled consumption of the few. It's probably needless to say the progeny of these people, the parents of the children they fear for, feel the same way they do. Ignorance tends to perpetuate itself. Do you fear your kids are being brainwashed? Don't be. That's exactly what education is supposed to do. Wash away ignorance, prejudice, and superstition, and replace them with knowledge, tolerance, and reason. For example, injecting religion into education is a distraction. Science cannot be warped to accommodate religion, or it stops being science. When the two come into conflict, religion must be adjusted, not science. Religion and government must remain separate as the founders intended. Simple health precautions, such as vaccines and the wearing of masks when appropriate, do not represent a loss of freedom, but rather a civic duty to protect oneself and others. Objections to this principle are nonsensical, and education provides the critical thinking skills to separate fact from fiction, truth from falsehood. Seduced by the demagogues, my former classmates seek to weaken or replace compulsory public education with a voucher system that starves the public schools and rewards those who send their kids to religious and charter schools. The vouchers, by the way, are never sufficient to pay the entire tuition these non-public schools charge, so there is little or no benefit to poor students. The greater choice the demagogues herald is available only to those who can afford it. Poor students would be stuck in the severely disadvantaged and deteriorating public schools that would have to try to get by on even fewer resources than they now command. About 70,000 years ago, two individuals were born with a genetic mutation which allowed them to tell the difference between the statements, "A dog bit my friend," and "My friend bit a dog." Homework. Look up prefrontal synthesis on your own. That was the beginning of modern humans, and we've been passing along that ability, the conscious, purposeful process of synthesizing novel mental images ever since. But it must be passed along through education in the first years of life, or you wind up with Tucker Carlson. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will.